have our focus for this morning. As expected, we already know the conversations that is on the front burner at this time, that people have so much to say, and I'm sure that people are eager to speak about. The most importantly, we have the Obidati conversation and the treason charges that the Minister for Information and Culture, should I say, have started to level against them. Well, of course, they've not been taken to court or anything like that, or arrested or anything of the sort, but there are conversations that the statements that are being made from the Obi camp, or should I say Labour Party, might be termed as treasonous, because these comments are believed to be inciting and might lead people to want to protest, maybe harmful protests, people occupying the streets and just causing tension in the country. And then we reference one particular statement that was made by the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Dati Baba Hamed, where he says that choosing to inaugurate the president-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is, should I say, a fight or a disregard for democracy. And a lot of people have said that you saying that this is a disregard for democracy, the end to democracy. That was exactly how he put it. That this is inciting, and in fact is possible of causing violence and spreading tension across the land, especially because of how fragile, how emotional, and how difficult it might be for people to be objective about this matter, which I believe has been catalyzed by the underlying ethnic, religious, sentiments that a lot of these politicians used during their campaigning season. So what we're talking about now, for the focus on that particular story, post-election conversations, politicians, political stakeholders, people of political influence, do they need to be circumspect about their manner of presentation? Because sometimes you might say something, you know what you're trying to say, but communication is incomplete until people comprehend what you're saying, and then interpretation can be in 100 different ways. So we're asking conversation, post-election conversations, when these political stakeholders are having conversations, what do you say, what do you not say? And when you know what you want to say, how did you present your conversation such that a lot of people are now terming it as statements that could cause violence? Also, how do we douse the tension? Unfortunately, it's here. Unfortunately, what has been said has been said. Unfortunately, the hundreds interpretation have been out there, with different people are thinking that this statement means different things. So now that the problem is here, we have identified the problem, how do we douse this particular tension? And also this, should I call it tongue watching of certain politicians, should it be across board? Because this is not just a Labour Party thing. There are other politicians in different political parties who have said a lot of things that you don't even have to have political knowledge to know that this is a statement that should not be put out in public, because of the kind of influence that you have. So this tongue watching, should it be across board? Because we can name drop a lot of people that have said a lot of inciting things that we have already, we even condemned here on radio. How do we, what punitive measures should be attached to this? We do know of Fani Kaide, who was invited by the DSS when he says that he has, by knowledge, that there's a coup, there might be a coup, and he was questioned, and I think he retracted it. He explained what he meant and apologized. Did that get as much traction as this Labour Party conversation is getting right now? Why is it that sometimes we pay a lot of attention to what a particular person said? Is it their personality? Is it the political influence they have? Or is it because of some underlying conversations that have been had in the past, is why some politicians get more traction when they say certain things, and sometimes we just ignore what another person has said? So also, we're going to talk about something that would affect every single Nigerian at this time: fuel subsidy removal. It's been months. Even last year, we've been talking about the subsidy removal. I guess that one harmonized idea about this is that subsidy must go. Everybody agrees that subsidy must go. But then the procedures leading to the fuel subsidy removal, are you doing it right? The implementation problem of Nigeria every time comes to fore when a policy is being implemented. We're talking about local refining. Have you done anything about that? What plans do you have? The government has said, we'll give you palliative. Some are even recommending we would subsidize food, we will subsidize this, we will do this. And some are saying you're just using this as a conduit pipe to even smuggle more money and to commit financial crimes. We don't agree that that is the best thing to do. So do you think that this conversation about local refining is belated? Do you think that we still have an opportunity, bearing in mind that by June subsidy is done? Do we still have an opportunity to implement something reasonable that would actually be able to minimize the economic hardship that will trail the subsidy removal in June. So that is what we're talking about at this particular morning. Fuad, I believe that there's another conversation we would have about the elections and the position of our former president Olusegun Obasanjo, what he said in a recent interview. I will allow people, they will listen to it of course, but we will get your perspective on it first, and then we'll open the phone lines for people to speak.
Well, quickly on the two issues, I think during the analysis, I've also put out my opinion on the two issues. First, on the issue of the back and forth between the federal government and the Dirty Baba Ahmed Labour Party. Again, I think this is a time for our politicians, whether in government or out of government, whether in the ruling party or the opposition, to please look at the interest of the country. We can't burn down the country, Sage. I mentioned it during the analysis that some of us fought for democracy. Yeah. As a young person, as a student, some of us were in the streets as student leaders. We were flogged by soldiers. Some of us were tear gassed.
I was not around.
So we know the value of democracy.
Right.
It's not going to be perfect overnight. I keep talking about democratic culture, how it evolves over year in, year out. Even the best democracies in the world took centuries, and they are still questioning their democracy. They are still trying to make it better. So we're still young relatively if you compare to what's obtained in the Western world, where we see as a model of democracy. So, like I said, the federal government should please tone it down. Alhaji Lai Mohammed should be careful with his choice of words too. Yeah, he may want to put the information the way it is.
Treason is a big word.
It's a big word. So I would expect that, look, we understand the mood of the nation. We should be a bit diplomatic, our choice of words, and please just tone it down. And I think we also have to talk to the Labour Party too. I have not seen Mr. Peter Obi really make statements that I can say are inciting. It has to be, most times it has been Dirty Baba Ahmed, talking in a manner that you want to question is emotional intelligence.
Right,
really,
that's the word.
The way he carries himself when he makes these statements, for me, it looks a bit irresponsible. If you're going to be looking at it from his standard, he owns a university. He's a thoroughbred politician. He's been in the game for some time, so he knows the drill. So one would expect that he should be more responsible with his choice of words. Yeah. And again, the APC too, their spokespersons are also doing a whole lot of damage at this time. We need to point it out. Tubayo Ononuga has been posting all manner of things, not in the regular media, but on social media. Yeah. There are Twitter. Posts that you may want to question. Even sometimes, the legal luminaries and Festus Keyamo. I've seen posts that I think, look, when you're on the path of victory, when you've won an election, I think you should be a bit magnanimous in the way you issue statements and make policy statements and all of that. So we just want to beg our politicians. We understand the value of democracy. They don't, because they are beneficiaries. There are people who sacrificed for this democracy to return. And we're going to, like you said, we're going to listen to what Chief Olusegun Obasanjo said
so far.
After the 2007 elections, which he conducted, that brought in Yaradua. That was the election he termed a do or die affair. In fact, Yaradua, that was the beneficiary of that election, said that was the worst election ever, and that he never prayed that Nigeria would witness that kind of election. What did the opposition do at that time? They didn't burn down the country. They went to the courts. They lost at the courts, and they moved on. That's the reality of politics. And we need to now listen to what Chief Olusegun Obasanjo said then about his own election.
And then compare it.
Compared to what he's saying now. Or what he said while elections were being announced, calling for cancellation.
And the open letters.
The excuse he gives for his own election that was termed complete fraud, that even international... Okay, we also should listen. Our listeners should be careful to listen to what he said about international observers when they condemned his own election. So that again, we are careful to flow with politicians when they make sentimental statements, that suit whatever agenda they are trying to set.
Fuhad, I guess that people would have to listen for themselves and make the right decision. Just listen to this clip. We'll be right back.
Back in 2007, it is said that you actually said that that election would be a do or die election.
No.
I
said for my party.
For your party?
For my party.
The PDP?
We want to win the election, not by hook or by crook.
But of course you know that you know the complaints about that election.
Yeah. Now,
far from being fair.
No, that election was fair.
You think so?
Oh yes. Look, there is no election we have had in Nigeria that has not been disputed. The election was disputed, all right, but the election reflected the will of the people of Nigeria. My party had 28 governors.
If you had to do it again,
You think that 28 out of 36 governors, where you have one of the contestants had probably 5 governors, one hadn't got any governor at all, and these governors will campaign and work for their own party, and you think that my party will lose?
you know, it has been actually said that it is true that Nigeria, at least on paper,
Yes.
is a multi-party system.
Yes.
But in reality, it is a one-party state. PDP controls almost everything.
What is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? If the people of Nigeria decide to vote for PDP, should PDP go to them and say, please
In
don't
a
vote
free
for us?
and fair election.
Yes.
That
in a
is
free-
also verified by the international observers.
Yes.
But not the last election in 2007.
No, don't talk about these international observers. In the last 18 months, I have observed the election in South Africa and in Togo.
Yes.
And if you have gone by what the so-called international observers are saying, both elections will have been declared not acceptable. And this morning I have only commented on the election in Sudan.
Well,
Now,
well,
what
1
is
minute to go, sir.
important-
1 minute to go, sir.
Now,
What is
Shaka,
the single most...
Shaka,
Yes.
what is important is that any election should reflect the will
Of the people.
In this country, in America,
Okay.
it didn't have a
In 2000 in Florida, it didn't happen quite well.
There's no time they have had a perfect election.
No perfect elections.
The British told me that, in fact, in their own elections, they got dead people voting.
And there you have it. You've heard from the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and we will do a brief comparative analysis on his perspective about the election that was conducted then and the election that has been conducted now, and also his stance, because he did write a lot of letters, and his
Even with a public
opinions then,
statement.
his opinions then are quite
when he did his own
contrary
election.
to what he's saying right now. Talk about the observers. Now he's saying, the
Don't
observers
listen to
now
them. Don't
listen
matter.
to them. They don't matter, but all of a sudden they matter.
in
Anyhow.
another person's election.
The interview asked the question about the fact that this is now like a one-party state, and we do practice a multi-party system in the
said
country.
there's nothing
And
wrong
saying
with
what is wrong with that, which is contrary to what he's saying now.
You see,
Fuhad,
Sid, let's
help
not
us
wait.
here.
You see, I purposely decided to play this so that we understand that, look, nation building requires people to be discreet. They need to be responsible in the way they see things and take sentiments out of their minds and understand that, again, to build a democratic culture that will endure, we need to put all our sentiments aside and be responsible in the way we handle these things. And that's what I try to do on this show, to make people understand that, look, we have to be careful to over-listen to some of these politicians. We should protect this country. We should ensure that Nigeria survives. We should ensure that democracy survives because it's the best for us. We are going to continue to have it. Look at when he said that there can't be any perfect election. He was even citing the fact that in Britain, they told him that dead people voted. So
Over here, it was underage voting that was being complained
how do you
about.
explain Chief Olusegun in the middle of announcing elections calling for cancellation? Again, a lot of things brought the innovation of beavers, IREV, and all of that. We'll continue to innovate. We can only get better with these things. But again, the last lap of the election cycle is ongoing. We should allow it to end and then begin to talk about how to get it better going forward. Honestly, and I want to beg all Nigerians, let us protect this democracy. Let us calm down, tone it down, and move forward as a country, because there's really no choice.
Fuhad, let's open the phone lines now. And please, whilst you open the phone lines, I need you to understand that that clip is not a personal attack on the personality of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. This is just to corroborate that these politicians, their perspective about things, their opinion about things can change. And most times, statements are being made to favor their campaign. And when we as citizens, take the bait and we start to fight each other, we start to, cause disruptions in the nation, these politicians might not be at the receiving end at the end of the
They
day.
might even change
We
their
are the
mouths
ones
going
who are
forward.
fighting each other. They work together. They know each other. So it's not like we're talking about Olusegun Obasanjo. We're talking about how statements can change.
Depending on the situation
People
of
can
things.
say anything depending on the situation of what is going on in the political landscape. That is what we're talking about. So please do not be confused. We're talking about the treason, the word treason that was used by the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, whilst he was referring to the statements that have been made from the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Dati Baba Ahmed. And we're also talking about the subsidy removal. Do you think that it might be too late for us to think of reasonable and realizable plans that we can implement to reduce the economic hardship that would most likely follow the removal of fuel subsidy? And we're talking about how exactly can we manage the post-election conversations that are happening right now. What do we need to do about these politicians who are making statements that might come off as inciting? I really want us to stay on track. We'll open the phone lines now. 0913 6000 410. That is the phone line for WhatsApp and text messages. 0913 6000 430. We're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland FM 98.3. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning to you.
Fuhad, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Don Peters.
My name is Don Peters. I'm calling you right now from Ilibeju.
Welcome.
Siege, thank you. I would like to take it from what you said last. What are we going to do to these politicians so that they will stop all this statement, propaganda, and all that? You see, what I'm going to say to them, number one is, do not take politics they know rather than politics. They are doing politics. For what? You know there are people who have served in government here in Nigeria. They are not trying to feud like Aroma or they to contribute what they are doing. And they are very busy rather than to make merchant of Nigerians through politics.
Thank you.
And not that they have the intent. Why? Because they are jobless. Here.
Thank you so
Please
much.
advise them to go and get solution from Ojo.
All right. Thank you, Timothy. Go ahead.
I also use Ogafuras, you know, sir.
Good morning.
Ogafuras, I want to appreciate that they are not charging that here. When the APC said that if they do not win, they will form parallel government. They will form. See, sometimes we need to be fair. What kind of narrative are you people trying to use now? That when we have gotten a robbery, everybody knows that Ahmed set agenda by itself that they are going to transmit results in real time for people to clear this doubt. And they said on this man, they rob people. And
Let me tell you, just politicians across all parties. Nobody is saying people should not make statements that show their dissatisfaction. That's what we are saying. And you have to be careful to make statements. Listen to me, please. You have to be. Look,
what is wrong is wrong.
We have even talked about let us condemn it across board.
See, do you know why politicians always...
Thank you very much. And in INEC. And I think this is a manifestation of that.
Nobody can pocket the courts. And I dare say. And I think people should even understand the structure of the court. Why is it that even in a judgment, you have situations where there are dissenting judgments? The panel of judges sometimes don't even agree. You have majority and minority judgments.
If you even use a jury, it has to be unanimous. Everybody has to.
And then even the way the Supreme Court is structured, it's not just one man. I think about 6 or 7 people take a decision on a case, and sometimes you have them having, contrary opinion on an issue. People need to really study these things and understand how it works.
My point is that the judge is his brother or his son. You beg people not to vote, and you say what peace. How do you achieve that kind of peace?
So what is the alternative to that is what I'm trying to understand, because it is anarchy. You either involve the law or it's an anarchy on our hands.
That's what we're saying.
What is the alternative?
There's even no alternative, really.
I think Fuhad has made it very clear. Nobody's asking you not to express your displeasure. You are discontent with how the election went. Perfect. The law has provided that. Approach us, present your evidence, and then we will address
and
it.
I even talked about in the past that, look, people have benefited from court judgments. Even a Mr. Peter Obi, when he was removed as governor, the court reinstated him.
I think that
Asiwaju has benefited. I don't know where this is coming from. And that's why we even went to when Obasanjo conducted what is considered by internationals as the worst election ever in the country. That even the beneficiary, and he said, look, there are no perfect elections anywhere. At that time, the opposition did not burn the country. They went to court, they lost, and Nigeria moved on. That's where we are discussing now. If we had burned down the country then, would these people have contested now?
So please, let's refrain from saying things that the Supreme Court has been bought over. We don't trust. You can say you don't trust the judiciary. Really, it's your personal opinion. But when you now move forward and say things like they have been pocketed, we cannot allow that conversation to fly. So please and please, we're not trying to delegitimize how you feel. All right, it is how you feel, but we cannot make certain statements. In fact, we're talking about inciting comments and the consequences, and then we're having people calling and they're making pocketed. Please, all right, please, we respect your opinion, but please and please, you're speaking on a public platform. Let's respect the fact that we're on a public platform. All right, I'll go back to taking contributions now. Please, let's work together. All right. Hello, good morning to you. Hello.
Oh, good morning, Sid.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Sandra. I'm the guy.
She's fine. Oga Fuhad.
Yes, the guy.
Yes,
Here, you talk, the matter of the guy, you talk about the subsidy. If they remove the subsidy, really, the masses will suffer. The elite, they are the one that go to enjoy because nobody will ask them how many players they sell. That is why, as we are talking about, they are sharing themselves into positions. You understand? So, when you win the election, I was thinking that by now, you have to go around the country to see things before you take over. They are sharing their duty in Abuja and whatever they want to share. But secondly, the thing I want to talk about for me, they are we. Let us, as a family member, let us wait for the 4 years job. For me, it's not far from here. When we fall on everybody. When the sun come, we fall on everybody. That's just my own. We get the 50s, 4 years later, we not before we have because of some people. And you talk about it, that's what we say. Why is it that if we so even make some comments, like I made some comment that everywhere scatter. Then when the family cry, they 80%, nobody says. The problem is that the propaganda people, they are in APC. If you look at actually the people who are organized protest in Nigeria since 2014, they are APC members. They don't. So now that's why we are not still protesting anywhere.
Thank you.
Because
Thank you very much. Oh, protesting is not a crime. The Constitution allows you to protest as long
I
as
think
it's
people
peaceful.
even forgot that Fanika was invited by the DSS.
Yes, yeah,
and he had to
was.
apologize for his statement.
He had to make certain retractions and certain clarification. And as regards to protesting, the Constitution clearly says you can protest, go and protest, but be peaceful with it. So protesting is not really a problem. It's when it becomes violent or when it gets hijacked, that is when it becomes a concern of the security.
people that organize protest, it's from APC. So that whatever the comment they make, they will not protest, they will not do it because that is their.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Hello, good morning. Turn down the volume on your radio, please. Hello.
My name is Babalola.
All right, Babalola.
Yeah, the first thing about this subsidy, I'm sure if subsidies removed, the most governments will not find it funny. I'm sure people will use it and make people to know that this is only the time to try it. You know, it's not like somebody that wants to people want to vote and not even about God. You understand? So I'm sure it's smart enough to just allow things flow the way they are, pending where there is balance. Then on the second round, see, we need to be careful. That will make reasonable statement. I know they will call for me, I don't care. Yes. To make a reasonable statement. Now, at the end of the day, stop something similar. It was invited by the DSS. So that is the same thing. And now, when we started the issue of interim government, was there not that channel television interview that for a party? So when APC, you know, is like propaganda like that propaganda. So you get my point. So I'm already. So it's like the people now, those who are masters of the game, they can't do better than them. They want them magnified. And that is what we are doing today. But those who kept the election, they did not win the election. Election was in our fine. I make messed up. Fine. Keep doing the election 20 times. As long as we are having more PDP separated, I'm not about to able to get PDP. I'm not doing that. That's the truth. See, if divided us in this time, people will continue to gain from that division. Only the two votes, I think what they talk about. I think that again, please, I love this radio station. Yes, I keep telling you, I'm a stakeholder. Yeah. See, the people channels are spoken, who was fine. But they tell us.
Now they pay 5 million.
Do you understand? So please, because the emotions are running high and things like that and things like that, we need to be careful. Yes, let the process go. Let it flow.
Thank you.
And at the end of the day, fine, if the process flows and you don't get what you want, like you said, process is allowed to be done. But in time, government anarchy, but the public cannot contain online liberty. What is the complaint of Nigeria?
Thank you,
God
Damilola.
bless us.
God bless you, Damilola.
Good morning and have a better one. Thank you so much, Damilola, for your perspective on the matter. Let's go to WhatsApp now. Good morning, I'm Sam from Magodo. Please stop calling the WhatsApp line. I announced the number multiple times before. 0913-6000410. That is the number you call. Please don't call the WhatsApp line. Thank you. Good morning, I'm Sam from Magodo. Why is it that the ruling party are blowing the statement of Dati Ahmed out of proportion? We know what President Buhari said during Goodluck Jonathan's tenure before he became president. Does the ruling party want to take us back to dictatorship kind of government where people cannot talk when things are not going well? Are we practicing an autocratic system government? Why are politicians being irresponsible? Okay, thank you, Sam. I don't have the answers to those questions. Treasonable felony allegation against Mr. Peter Obi can never fly, no matter how much federal government and its cohorts want it to. But sincerely speaking, I think present administration should be father to all contestants and stop this one-sided threat and intimidation to the Labour Party candidate while turning blind eyes and deaf ears to the ruling party foot soldiers' inflammatory statement before, during, and after the general election. Chika Bende from Trade Fair Lagos is the author of that message. Let's tell ourselves the okay, it will be very bad anybody telling us that there was gubernatorial election in Lagos. It was thuggery, a show of force, which the security officials were not able to stop. I'm quite disappointed hearing what Fani Kayode said about the Igbos. Attacks and intimidation of Igbos in Lagos should stop. You can't force them to vote anyone's choice because they live here. INEC has done the worst to our electoral process and it is intentional. How do you know that? This we will communicate to our generations unborn. It will be sinful anybody asking me to come to vote again. You have to. Fuhad, thanks for being truthful to the harassment and thuggery activities. Only use of phones to vote and independent candidacy will save Nigeria from electoral process. Actually, this is an old message. Okay, let's tell ourselves the bitter truth day in, day out. We continue to be divided majorly by politicians. Accusation of treason against Peter Obi by Lai Mohammed, which is a mere distraction. Let Lai Mohammed publish what Peter Obi said that relates to treason. I never believe him. El Rufai and Fani Kayode first flew the kite of interim government. Today, nobody's asking them questions. Rendition of Nnamdi Kanu, arrest and detention of Eze Indi in Lagos, while Oluomo Femi Fani Kayode, Bayo Ononuga, who made open support for ethnic attacks, move free. Again, Chief of Army Staff focusing attention on IPOB and ESN, while Boko Haram and ISWAP are still enjoying their day. I ask, what is or are the signs or the sins of this ethnic group? Can it be discussed? The hate is so much coming from the country I wait for Nigeria, where's the Asharibo Chijioke. This was a mouthful, but thank you very much. Good morning, crew. The statement by the APC Musketeer is very unfortunate. They are following the footsteps of their masters. They're hitting the polity, creating confusions. I wish the court can... Okay, no, thank you. Abraham Ayotunde from Oshogbo. Mr. Fuhad, Nigeria will get better soon. Our judiciary will not be pocketed. But don't forget the APC still blames PDP for their failure in 16 years of government.
Nobody takes that blame.
Good morning. All right. Our Christopher from Shogune says, thanks again for this opportunity to air my view on the fuel subsidy. What is required is a good, transparent, and corrupt-free government that can do the right thing. Everything about subsidy is laced with corruption. Good governance is the panacea. Comparison has no meaning unless what is compared is comparable. Obasanjo conducted election and what we recently had is not the same. What we had was a complete shame. Lai Mohammed, he is true to himself. Treason charge against Obi or Dati would amount to taking cheating too far. All right, let's just pause on WhatsApp right now so I can look through the messages and edit them before we come back to reading them. So let's just
a lot of editing.
I'm seriously. Hello, good morning to you. Hello. Yes, good morning. Please, can you speak up a little bit? We can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, this is good. Your name, please.
Yeah, this is JD. I'm calling from Lagos.
All right, welcome.
Yeah, I've been listening to your conversation, but there's one thing I want to correct us. I want all Nigerians to listen to me carefully. The Bible says, whatever any man soweth, he or she reaps. And I want to pray on behalf of all Nigerians, because I'm a person of justice, because I believe there is no justice and there will be no peace.
but I want to pray for justice and I want to pray for peace of Nigeria. And I want to pray in the mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ that as many that are supporting in
narrative and continue to make Nigeria look, if anything happens here, no country, if they enter Benin Republic, they're about 12 years. They are the ones suffering. You need to understand that.
Right a wrong by being wrong. You're
Good morning.
morning to you.
Even the media, we start telling the media, they just want it. Whether
Well,
Mr. Fuhad, thank you for bringing the clip. It's perfect. You've been talking about, I'm happy that this country and the government system, we don't see what. We need to, there was there, and there was there a winner. You understand? So that is the way we need to, and we have done the incoming government, though already president, federal government to look at how it goes.
the sound of Lagos. How do we douse the tension? And this is as a result of the president-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, mostly because of the conversation that we're having. Also, should we be holding this by the public? Should we also start to pay very strong attention to these comments? We're also talking about subsidy removal. Of course, we all know that there would be some economic implication because every time there's an increase in the price of fuel, inflationary shock is pretty much sent through every sector of the economy, is unavoidable. What do we do about that? Do you think that the palliatives that are being rolled out by the government and also the initiative that some stakeholders have been given, do you think it will be useful? Do you think it's too late for us to start? What do you think? Maybe this is me trying to summarize what we're talking about so that we can rein everybody in and we don't distract each other. The phone line 0913-6000-410 is the phone line. WhatsApp is 0913-6000-430. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, Mainland FM 98.3. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Babalola.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, Mr. Fuhad, there?
Yes, I'm
Yes,
here. Good
he's
morning.
here.
Yeah, good morning. You have to on the line for Fanta.
Oh, okay, Biodun.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, you see, I think one of the solutions to all this issue is that otherwise, honestly speaking, all these when these first subsidies and what have you, money, the Almighty God save us and protect this country for us. And another thing is that I want to advise our youth between age of 20 to 35 for about. So please protect
Hello.
and
Fuhad.
Mr. Fuhad. Yeah. Good morning, my brother.
Good morning to you. Your name, please.
My name is DK. I am calling from Ojo.
All right.
The one that is most pressing to me is the second one, the second topic.
The subsidy issue.
Hello? Please try to call us back. I think we lost that call. Hello? Hello?
Perfect now. Yeah.
Okay. Please.
Tell us your name. Tell us your name, please. Tell us your name.
Okay, I'm Boone. That stated that even when the election was being counted at the initial stage, the political party agents, they gathered together and they spoke to the INEC chairman to stop the counting of that election at that point in time to create a room for correction. I didn't think that was done by the INEC chairman. I don't think all this nonsense that is coming up will have come up. You understand? So INEC is responsible for all the problems that Nigerians are facing today. And secondly, it was so bad for we to watch on air or watch on television, seeing some group of people saying that Igbo people should not vote in Lagos State, which was a declaration of another statement. And ever since then, I don't think the Igbo people in Lagos State, they have rest of mind anymore. I don't think they will have rest of mind anymore because they are being tormented by saying that kind of statement. And nobody has ever come out to apologize. Even the ruling power have not even said anything about that. The Lagos State government have not said anything about that. So what have you the media done about that? I want to hear from you.
Okay.
I mean, why do you want to do the honors?
Well, again, we condemned that statement when it was made. We saw the video and condemned it completely.
Yes.
And you know why that issue has suddenly died is because the man that made the statement, a few hours after, made another statement saying, he was referring to a neighbor. He denied the statement. If he had insisted and stayed on that statement, I'm sure, look, if I have to do that, we condemn it completely. And what we are saying,
Well, we cannot take phone calls anymore, sadly. We just have about two because the other ones are very scary. So we're just going to take a few WhatsApp messages. Good morning, Sage and Fuhad. Godwin from Ilasa. Seriously, we're in a very disturbing time in our country presently. It's a very difficult thing to tell someone not to cry when he or she has been bitten. I think going forward, let's declare the president should think. And there's another one here. Good morning, radio. On all of these in Nigeria, you can see most callers are against any and the common Nigerians. We know even when it's seen is because of Yaba. Thank you very much. Been avoided if INEC allowed the beavers to. Joshua from Oregon. If you ask me, I'll tell you all of these things are distractions for us to be focused and asking questions how we are going to handle the subsidy issue that is on ground. We're busy focusing on propaganda. That is the same thing we did during the election. We couldn't ask these people reasonable questions. And we're here now asking ourselves how to handle the fuel subsidy. I'm pleading with you, please, we have a president-elect, and ask him things about how this fuel subsidy would go. And let's forget about what these politicians are saying. From Obasanjo's statement, he said the election should reflect the will of the people. Thank you for your message. The dynamics of the 2007 and 2023 elections are not the same in Nigeria and the world at large. Kenneth from K2. I think he's referring to Obasanjo's position on both elections, that the dynamics are different, and so the perspective would be different.
Thank you. About his own perception.
Thank you, Kenneth. Good morning. For future better governance, there should be one term in any office. Salary should be slashed to Civil Servant Commission. If you want more, contact me.
Who is going to bail the cat?
Good. Good morning, Mainland FM. Chief Obasanjo said in that message very clear that all that matters is the wishes of the people are important. Martins from Mushi. Okay, that's the part that you took. We cannot take any more messages. It's the fact that somebody is, they read my message with exclamation mark. Your message is not healthy for radio. I'm sorry. All right. I'm so sorry. I want to, but I can't. Thank you very much for your contributions. But we definitely appreciate you. I mean, we are here because of you, and we're here to take your contribution on the matter as well because it affects you. We all live here in Nigeria. Whatever happens, every single person is affected, whether or not we want to admit it or not. So thank you so very much. We can't take any more contributions, unfortunately, but we're still here, same time, same station tomorrow. Mainland 98.3 FM, 7:40 trends in the paper. I will be back by 8:40 for Mainland Focus, where you get to call in at 9:45 a.m. where we have Global View. So we're going on the break. When we come back, it will be time for Global View on Mainland 98.3 FM. Don't go anywhere.